Content warning. This podcast episode contains discussions of a sensitive nature that may be triggering for some individuals.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Diary of a Kidney Warrior podcast in partnership with Kidney Care UK, sharing faith, knowledge, hope, and love.
Hi, and welcome to Diary of a Kidney Warrior podcast. My name is Dee Moore, and I am a kidney warrior. This podcast is dedicated to encourage, educate, and inspire as we explore all aspects of kidney disease, related chronic illnesses, and health. It's my pleasure to introduce someone who embodies what it means to serve both locally and nationally, Councillor Hilaria Assumu. Hilaria is not only a dedicated representative for the people of Walton South in Salford, but also a passionate advocate for health equity across the UK. She has worked tirelessly to raise awareness around kidney disease, organ donation, and health inequalities that affect some of our most vulnerable communities. Her work goes beyond the ward. Hilaria sits on several local and national committees, contributes to vital health research, and brings lived experience and compassion to every conversation she leads. Whether she's championing better health access or standing up for residents' concerns in Walton South, her commitment to justice and well-being is unwavering. Hilaria joins me today to share her kidney warrior story and the lessons she has learned along her kidney warrior journey. Hi, and welcome to Diary of a Kidney Warrior podcast. How are you doing today, Councillor Hilaria?
I'm good, thank you. And you?
I'm good. I'm really excited about our interview today. And everyone knows what I'm going to say because I say it every time, but I do sincerely mean it when I say that I love recording Kidney Warrior story interviews because, as I say every time, it is so powerful to learn from someone's lived experience of CKD. So yes, I'm excited about our interview today.
Oh, good. I'm excited too.
Fantastic. Without further ado, I'm going to start with my first question. And my first question is, how did your kidney warrior journey begin and how were you diagnosed?
I don't think I got a diagnosis as such. I was pregnant. In 2008, I was pregnant and at 22 weeks, I had a miscarriage. It was a normal day that day. And for some reason, I started feeling pain. And my husband took me to the hospital. And when I got there, they said, I was 22 weeks. And they said, oh, we think she's losing the baby. We'll just watch and see. And well, within 2-3 hours, I'd lost the baby. And the midwife came and was trying to, I had to deliver the baby. So they did all that and they said, I can lie down to rest. And they asked if I wanted something. I said, I've not eaten. I'm hungry. They gave me a toast and a cup of tea. And then I went to sleep. And all the information I'm using today, the information from the people who were around me were telling me what happened. I think they went through the trauma, especially my husband. So I had that miscarriage at 22 weeks. Then I suddenly had septicaemia and multiple organ failure, 2 cardiac arrests, and then I was in a coma. And I was in that coma for 2 weeks. Then I came out of the coma and I was told that the multiple organ failure had affected my kidneys. So I had to go on dialysis and I was on dialysis for 2 years.
I don't even know what to say. You went through so much. I'm so sorry for the loss of your baby. And then to have septicemia, be in a coma, organ failure, heart attacks. I mean, you went through so much. And then to find out that you've in kidney failure, you had to go straight on dialysis. How did you get your mind around all of that?
I didn't. I didn't. Because one thing I hate is hospitals. Because since I can remember, every 5 years, there was always one issue or the other, and I ended up being admitted in the hospital. So it was one serious ailment every 5. My mom virtually spent my whole childhood in and out of hospital. So this one, I was just thinking, how is my husband going to cope? I thought I was over this. I thought I was much better. And I didn't cope because the nurses came to explain about, the different types of treatment. I couldn't get my head around it. It went through one ear and came out of the other. I was lucky because my husband's a doctor. We have a circle or a group of doctors, mostly consultants in the UK, and we have a group, Nigerian doctors. And my husband spoke to some of them who were renal doctors, and they explained to him what will happen next. So he came home to explain to me what should happen. So going on that dialysis, doing that neckline, the taste it leaves in your mouth. You can't taste anything. You can't sleep. You can't even rest because your body is just all charged up. It's a totally new thing happening to your body, the process and everything. So I was on that. And believe me, I think every time I went to the hospital, I cried. I cried my eyes out because I couldn't imagine. But then, guess what happens? I got pregnant again.
Wow. So there's actually even doctors who believe that when you're on dialysis that you can't get pregnant.
I got off dialysis very briefly because they said my kidney function had picked up. So let them see if they can help you recover without dialysis. But then I got pregnant.
Wow.
Yeah.
So at the point that you became pregnant,
yeah,
had you come to terms with your kidney disease diagnosis at this point, or was this now another shock to what you were already dealing with?
I had not come to terms with it. I just wanted a third child. That was what I was looking for. My husband wanted 2, I wanted 3. So I said, I want another child. I don't want only 2. I had a boy and a girl, but I wanted a girl. So I got pregnant again. And it was a girl.
So in terms of the pregnancy as a kidney patient, how did this impact your kidneys? Did you have to go back onto dialysis during your pregnancy?
No, because that's when I was being managed. I was seeing a female renal gynecologist or whatever, I don't know, but she was managing me. I can't remember her name. And she said, it's not really easy for you to carry a baby, but we're going to manage you if that's what you want. I said, yes, it is what I want. So unfortunately, same thing happened like the first time. I've been through all the tests the first time. They couldn't find anything wrong. I said, okay, if there's nothing wrong, they might as well have that baby I want to have. And same thing happened. 22 weeks, I had a miscarriage, septicaemia, multiple organ failure, 2 cardiac arrests, another coma. And this time, as they were taking me out of the coma, my lungs collapsed and they had to reintubate me to save my life. And I was on that again for another 2 weeks. And when they were trying to take me out of this coma, I wouldn't wake up. And this time, I told my husband that even if she does wake up, she'll be paralyzed on one side. She won't be able to talk. She won't be able to walk. We just hope we have to keep praying. And it was just my husband and me and the children. First time my sister in the States was around. But this time, nobody knew what was going to happen. It just happened suddenly. So they started trying to wake me up from the second coma. Wouldn't wake up. They told my husband, they gave him a date when they're going to turn the machine off because I wasn't waking up. But the morning of the day they told him they're going to turn the machine off, I woke up. That's why I'm sitting here today.
I am sitting here in absolute shock. I mean, you literally are a walking miracle. To go through all of that and still be here is incredible.
It's not me, it's God. He wanted me back to do this, what I'm doing today.
So the miracle happened. You woke up.
Yeah.
How was your recovery?
It wasn't sudden because because I've been in coma, my legs were no longer working as such. So I had to learn to walk again. And where they thought I was going to be paralyzed, I wasn't. I just only briefly, it was coming on, but I was determined that I wasn't going to end up in a wheelchair. And then also my legs were giving way and they were offering me a wheelchair. And I said, you know what? I've got high heels in my wardrobe. My daughter is only 6. Who's going to wear them? No, I don't want your wheelchair. Give me crutches. Don't worry. I'll be up and walking again. And I did. I wasn't going to let my shoes just go to waste. So that's what I call my vanity.
It's the strangest thing that can be a motivation for something really powerful. So you wanted to walk so you could wear those shoes.
Oh, yes. Because it doesn't make any sense to dress up and then you wear low shoes. You need the high heels for you to step really properly.
You learned to walk again.
I learned to eat. I learned to do a lot of things. And, the doctor said, we don't know how much you did it, but, you're out there working. But obviously, because of the multiple organ failure, my kidneys that were they're shrunk before, were now shrunk to walnuts. So they weren't working anymore. At a point, I wasn't even passing water anymore. It was the dialysis that was keeping me alive. So I had to go on dialysis again. And this time was a long time.
So this time that you were on dialysis,
yeah.
I assume, because again, it was an emergency situation, you would have had a line. Did you go on to have a fistula or did you remain with the line?
Well, I tell you that I've done all the 3 types of methods of dialysis. So the neck line was the first one. The second one, they gave me a choice. And now they showed me, and believe me, it took me a long time to look at the needle. I always used to pass out, just looking at the needle alone. So I was with a psychologist for 3 years, trying to walk through my needle phobia. And it took a long time before I was able to actually look. So it was nurses who were doing my dialysis. They asked me if I wanted hemodialysis. I said no, that I would go for peritoneal dialysis. So I did. Now, I'll tell you a very funny story. Now, I like looking good. And my friend, when they were going to put the tube in my stomach for peritoneal dialysis, I asked my friend to go with me to the hospital. And my husband wasn't around. He was working in Saudi Arabia then. And I called my friend to go with me. So she came to pick me up from the house. When she saw me, she said, Hilaria, are you going to the hospital? I said, yes, we're going to the hospital. She said, okay, get in the car. She said, you're all dressed up. I said, no, I don't think so. I said, okay, let's go. So we got to the hospital. The nurse came, gave instructions. The doctor came as well and was talking. I was sitting on the chair. She was sitting on the edge of the bed. And then the doctor picked up the consent form and gave it to her. I said, please, can you sign here? She looked at me and said, no, I'm not the patient. She's the patient. He looks at me all dressed with my makeup. Everything. I looked at her looking disheveled. And I said, oh, okay. She said, you see, I told you cannot be making up to come for your operation. So that was me. I was in my heels. I was dressed up, makeup, everything perfect, makeup, my hair, everything. And they just couldn't believe it that I was coming to do an operation, But, my friend went with me and we had the first operation didn't go so well. I was in a lot of pain. I think the registrar who did it didn't put it in properly. So I was in pain for 2 weeks. And one of our friends, who was a renal doctor at the hospital, came to take it out. They were leaving to go to another country to work. So he said, instead of you to remain in pain, they can't use it and time is going. Let's get it out and see if another one can be put in. So he got it out. And then the doctor came back and I insisted to be put under. I'm not using local anesthetic. Because one thing is that I'm sensitive to anesthetic. So it doesn't affect me. It takes a whole lot more to take me down. So that was the issue. So the next one worked well. So I was on peritoneal dialysis for 2.5 years, I think. But then the peritoneum failed because I kept getting peritonitis. The first one was, I thought I was dying. My friend who went with me the first time was crying, thinking I was dying. And she was calling everybody, all my family, to say, I don't know what to do. My parents were here, but, my elderly parents, my mom was worried. She was crying. My husband was, ambulance. When the ambulance came, they were scared too because of the condition I was in. So they rushed me to the hospital. They managed to drain the fluids from my stomach. It was milky white. I was looking at it. That's the infection. And I had that 2 or 3 times of peritonitis. And then my peritoneum failed. And I remember one of them is a consultant today. He was the senior registrar who came to tell me my peritoneum failed. I see him this and I just smile. And so I had to go on hemodialysis again, but this time with a fistula. So with this one, I said, I'm not going to agree. I'm going to put under, and they can fit in the fistula, which they did. So I had it under general anesthetic. So when I came out of that, I was on dialysis. Believe me, I had so many near misses. In fact, my house was known. Just every time there was an issue, as soon as they call my address, they are here in a shot because they know I'm prone to septicemia. I had septicemia. Within that time, I was waiting for a transplant 4 times. Yeah.
4 times?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh.
I mean, I unfortunately had sepsis once and ended up in hospital, and that was bad enough. I cannot imagine 4 times.
4 times.
I mean, you have been through
a lot. In fact, septicemia is just by the wayside. It was all the other stuff in between. Because I had urine infection. How many times I had that? It was horrible. I had CMV twice. It was horrible. But you see, the thing is, that is why I believe that God has a reason for me being here. Because if it was somebody else, they'll be dead. They'll be dead. The last septicemia I had, I didn't even know it was septicemia. I was just in a lot of pain. I had these pains all over. So I went to A&E. When I got there, nobody would see me. I was crying. I was lying down, Obviously, how it is. They have to triage you first before they get a doctor to see you. When the doctor came and they did my blood test, immediately she just said, put on antibiotics straight away. In fact, I was in shock that, that happened. They didn't tell me immediately that it was septicemia. It was when my discharge notes that I saw that it was septicemia, because I'd been crying for days and saying, something is wrong. Now, with black skin, people can't see when someone's having septicemia. The second time I had septicemia, my husband was around and he saw it. And he said, listen, she's going. Take her in straight away. And they took me in. They tried to find my pulse. They couldn't. Those paramedics were unsettled. They were panicking. And my husband usually is very calm. He's a doctor too. He's very calm. And that's the first time I saw my husband flap. He doesn't normally. He said, please take her in. We're losing her. I remember when he said that. In my mind, I was telling my parents, I'm sorry. I didn't mean this to happen. I'm so sorry. And after all of that, I sort of felt there is something wrong. The doctors even felt there was something wrong. There was loads of tests they did, but nothing ever came up. Anyway, so after that, because my peritoneum had failed, the only thing left was a fistula. So obviously, they had to do that. And in that time, dialysis was hell. I had to move home. I'm a control freak. I accept. I'm a control freak. When it comes to my body, when it comes to things about me, I need to do things by myself so I know it done properly. So when the nurses were doing my dialysis and putting the needle in, I was getting blows. So the ward manager just said, listen, Hilaria is the kind of person who likes to be in control. Let's train her. And I think she'd be a perfect candidate. And that was how I came home with my dialysis. And I was doing my dialysis 3 a.m. in the morning, finished by 7. Then I'll rest for 1 hour. And then the next hour, prepare. And I'm in my office, by 10 o'clock. All the students I was giving internship with my business, they never knew I was a kidney patient or I was on dialysis until one day my office partner asked me if I don't wee. She said, everybody eats. You don't eat. You just eat like a chicken. And then you don't drink water. I've noticed it for the past few months. That's when I told them I'm a kidney disease patient. And they all screamed. That was a teaching moment in the office that day. Imagine 10 people in the office asking questions about kidney disease and, how I did it. And I was able to educate them. I was able to give them all the information. And believe me, the 10 years I was on dialysis wasn't an easy one. But it's a lesson. It's a lesson in patience, in belief. And I'll tell you, I lost my faith. I did halfway through. But that didn't stop me from encouraging my children to be altar servers in church. We're Catholics. And they both were. And they were both altar servers until they were going to university. Normally, children would drop off when they're going to high school. And I told them, you're going to serve God because I can't do it because I don't have the strength, but you are going to stand in place for me. And they looked at me and said, well, yeah, you got a point, Mom, because if you were dead now, we won't have you. So they did. My son still, till today, he still sings on Holy Saturday in church. He comes to sing one of the Latin verses. It's like 15 minutes long, and he sings it.
So you went on to have a kidney transplant.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
They talked to me about living donation, and my 7 brothers and sisters came forward. And out of them, one was okay, but I can't remember whether it was my antibodies that kicked her out. So she couldn't donate to me. So my girlfriend from high school, because all my classmates knew from high school that I was ill. And they kept calling me to say, are you okay? How are you today, Hilaria? We're a close-knit, group of high school mates. And this lady heard every time, she heard them say, Prof. My classmates call me Prof because I like to read. I just go to school and collect certificates and degrees. So they call me Prof. So, and besides, I like to use big English, for them then in those days. So she came to me and said, Prof, what's wrong? Are you okay? I don't know what prompted me to tell her. So I told her everything that happened. She just, when I finished talking, she said, Prof, you can have one of mine. I'm in perfect good health. You can have one of my kidneys. I was like, are you sure? She said, yeah. She said, I live in London. You tell me what I need to do and I'll do it. We can't have you sick. We need our prof around. So I was a bit resistant to that because she's not my relative. You want to donate to me. It's a burden on the recipient as well. When someone comes forward like that to say they want to donate, you're thinking different things. What if it doesn't work? They've lost a perfectly good kidney, I had those doubts. And she insisted, and finally, I agreed, and I introduced her to the living donation team. And they told her to go to a hospital in London. So she went to Guy's in London. And despite her own needle phobia, she was going for blood tests to test and everything. And she wasn't a match. And she called me and told me she wasn't a match. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll tell you. It was a sort of relief because I didn't want to put her through that. Then she came back and said, Prof, is there any other thing I can do? I said, there's nothing else. She said, no, there must be another thing I can do to donate to you. And then she said, they said there's one program. I said, PED scheme. She said, yes, let's go in that one because we can't have you sick. So managed to get on the PED scheme. We're on that for 3 years and we didn't get a match. And that was mainly because of my antibodies, which was at 97%. So we're on that. Every time they ran the circle, there's nothing. Every time, nothing. And finally, but I'm just so grateful because 2018, a woman who lost her son agreed to organ donation. After 10 years, I got a transplant. Now, before I go and talk about this, October 2017, I was invited to the hospital. I got a call about 4:00 in the evening to tell me that there was a kidney, but I was second choice, but they want me to come in. And they told me not to eat from 6:30. So my husband had to come back from work to take me into the hospital MRI. So whilst we were there, they kept coming to give me updates on what's happening with the kidney and all of that. And I was there from 6:30 in the morning to 6:30 in the evening. Nothing. So about 7 o'clock, a doctor comes to me and she says, "Oh, sorry, that's the first choice I've gotten their kidney. So it wasn't my turn." So the doctor who had done my fistula is a family friend, and he was there, and he was like, "Don't worry, Hilaria, don't cry. It will come quickly." Some people, they sort of like get 4, 5 invitations before they get a transplant. And for some reason, I was very calm. I was like, "It's fine. It's okay." Something just reassured me that I shouldn't worry, that mine was coming. So this March 2018, when I got the call, when it said, "We found a kidney for you," I knew it was mine. I ran downstairs to my husband after actually talking to the guy from the hospital. Ran downstairs to my husband. I was screaming. I was like, "Oh, darling, they've called me from the hospital. They said they found a kidney for me." I was jumping on him. He said, "Okay, Hilary, go get ready and I'll take you to the hospital." Believe me, this man has been by my side. I don't know where I would be today if he hadn't been there. And he said, "Get ready." I ran back upstairs and I went in the shower. As I was taking my shower, it dawned on me that this was it. No more dialysis, no more pain, no more needles coming out of my arm and spraying my walls with blood, or me passing out on the machine. It dawned on me that this was it. And I fell on the ground. I just slowly sank to the ground and I was crying. I was sobbing. And that was, I'd lost my faith before this, but I found it that day on that bathroom floor. I was crying. This is quite emotional for me because when I when I remember that day, the I don't think anybody who's gone through what I've gone through would not be that way. Because God came through for me. I got ready, went to the hospital. And again we waited. And as I was there, I was praying. But I knew that this was mine. And it was one of the doctors. Actually, he's an amazing doctor, not because he operated on me, but because of how he tried to allay my fears. He came, he spoke to me, he told me, what was happening, broke it down, asked me if I had any questions. We're there 8 o'clock. My husband had to go home because obviously, the kids, they're still at home and he had to go to work as well. So he said he'll come back in the morning. So he left. So I was there still waiting. And then 2 a.m., they came for me. They took me to the theatre. I think it was about 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock. I can't remember now. I think it was 7 o'clock. I came out of the theatre and I tell you the feeling. It was as if, I had this energy. I had all these feelings coursing through me. And I was just sitting down there. I was crying. I was thanking God. I was praying for my donor who's lost his life. I was praying for his mother because I'm a mother too. And I, just imagine what his mom must be feeling because I don't know how I would be if I lose my son. And this is a mother who's just lost her son and she agreed to organ donation. Who does that? Who does that? Which mother would have that presence of mind to say, my son has died, but I still want to help other people? I don't know if it was me in her shoes, if I would have been able to take that decision. But she did. And that is my gratitude today. When people ask me, where do you get the energy? They don't understand what I went through. Nobody understands the time when I'm being blue lighted to the hospital. And I'm thinking, this is it. I'm dying today. There's so many times I thought I was gone. It was so many times. And I'm just so grateful that people, they don't understand what gratitude is. It's only Those people who've been in a life and death situation and they are brought back by somebody's largesse, somebody's kindness, somebody's thought for humanity, for somebody else. And that is why I try my best to help people, because I can't pay them back, but I can pay other people. I can pay it forward and help others who don't have somebody to help them. I can be that voice for those people who don't have a voice. So when people look at me and they look at me and say, she's too bold, she's arrogant, she talks too much, she thinks she's all that. I am not all that. The only way I can pay back for my life is by doing what I do now. Doing what I do now and helping other people to have a second chance in whatever way. Not just second chance, give them hope. So when I'm helping people, I know at the back of my mind that in a small way, I'm giving back. I'm helping. So when people call me even at 12 midnight, I would get up. I do still find time to rest because I know that if I'm not okay, those people I'm trying to help are not okay. So I have to look after myself. Fun thing about me is laughter. I like to laugh. That is a way to deal with all the mental health issues that come with being a kidney patient or a transplant patient. And that's something people don't understand. Where I am right now is a place where everybody has a chance, whether you're disabled or you're able-bodied. As long as you have an issue and I'm in a position to help, I would do it. Because I understand everybody. When they come with me, I can relate. It's either I've been through it or I've helped somebody else who's been through it. So I apply all of that. So that is, my journey, how I came to get my transplant. And when I came out of, the hospital, I was supposed to be indoors for 12 weeks. But by the 8th week, I was in Parliament because when I came out of theatre, NHS Blood and Transplant contacted me and they asked if I would like to join them. And I told them, show me the way, show me where to sign. I want to give back. I want to help others. I want to be a voice. So even when I'm tired, I would get up because that mother agreed to organ donation. I don't know if all recipients feel like me that, they have to give back. But it's one way of showing gratitude.
So for everything that you've been through, coma, sepsis, heart attacks, all the loss that you have suffered through, the challenges of dialysis, and then receiving that gift of a second chance of life. For everyone listening, what is the greatest lesson that you have learned through going through all of this?
My greatest lesson is to keep going. When you think that things couldn't get any worse, listen for that small voice. It's there. Because when you give up, you're saying your life is over. This must be something that you can hold on to and say, this is why I'm fighting. I was fighting to be here to see my children grow up. I was fighting to see my younger sisters grow up, get married, and have children. I was fighting to, for a lot of things, a whole lot of things, so many. But the most important ones were my children and my sisters, especially my younger sisters. And today, my son is 24. My daughter will be 23 November. Couldn't imagine I would see them, grow old to be this age. I didn't expect to see my younger sisters grow older, get married, have children, even for me to be able to travel to look after those children, my nieces and nephews. In Nigeria, because I'm originally from Nigeria, in Nigeria, we call it Omugo. I went and did Omugo for my younger sister 3 times in Canada. 3 times. And the other one as well. And those children are growing up. The eldest now is 10 years old. And I look back and I look at myself when I started out. I didn't think I was going to get here. I didn't think I was going to see any of my younger ones grow up, or even see my son graduate from university. And my son is a musician now. He actually wrote a charity song for my charity. I set up a charity to look after Black kidney patients around the UK. And I use this charity to help when it comes to research, it comes to people want to do something and they're looking for people to bring together to help answer questions. I'm reaching out to them, talking to them, and explaining to them why it's important that we have that voice, that we use it. Because all the time, it's always about me, 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 me. I said, whilst I like talking, I would like somebody different to come forward with their own experience. But you see, the thing is, everybody reacts differently to things. So I think that when something happens to you, it changes you. Either for the better or the worse. It depends on how people look at it. But this is the better because I am 7 years post-transplant and it's still going. I've seen people who've had 25 years. You have to be grateful. You have to hold on to hope because when you give up hope, there is no chance you will survive it. Whatever experience you're going through, you won't survive it. So it's just to hold on and believe. Believe that something would happen. Imagine when I did mine, they had to call me open. Apparently, they're doing keyhole now for transplants. Keyhole surgery. That's science. When they told me I had a 10-year plus wait, there was no chance that I would get that transplant. But then science moved along and they told me that if they're going to be doing the transplant, they're going to have to exchange the plasma in my body. But that didn't happen. So people have to understand that something that's happening today, if you go back in a year or 2 time, everything's changed. So change always comes. Never give up hope. I never do. And I'm still holding on to hope today because I know that they say the transplant lasts 15 years. What if it's a living donation? It's 25 years. But I believe that my transplant is going to last 50 years because I want it to last. You have to, positive thoughts, you beget positive actions. So when you think like that, then your body listens to you. That negativity does not belong around you. Think positive. Say, I can do it. Don't say, I cannot do it. Say, I can do it and believe it. And it will happen. Every day I get up from my bed, despite all the issues I face in terms of health. I still get up every morning. I woke up this morning, I put up my makeup. Like, yeah. Don't try me without my makeup. I put on my makeup because, yes, I want to get up. Because that young man is in the ground. That's 7 years ago. I am still here, alive, breathing. So why can't I be an example for other people? You can be an example for other people who are thinking, my life is over. I'm on dialysis. So that's it. I'm done. Even sometimes there's some patients who say, I don't want dialysis. I go and speak to them and they change their minds. Because I tell them, I was where you were. But look at me today. Don't you think that you can be like me in the future? 2 patients I was called to come and speak to. And they're thriving today. They're thriving. So yeah, positivity all the time.
What are your social media handles for anyone that wants to get in touch?
Yeah. So I've got like 35 social media. So there is the social media and Facebook is Hilaria Assumu. So it's at Hilaria Assumu. That's Facebook. If you just type it in to bring me up, you'll see me with my glasses, my funky glasses. On Twitter, it's Assumu Hilaria. On Instagram, it's Hilaria Assumu Official. So it's always my name. On TikTok, it's Hilaria Assumu Official. So it's always, my name would always be there. So in fact, just type my name into Google. You will find me. I'm everywhere because I'm always posting. I'm always talking. I'm always trying to raise awareness. So if you want to reach out to me, I'm available anytime.
And as always, I will put the links to Councillor Hilaria's social medias in the description box. So you were elected in 2023 and became a councillor. Now, clearly all of this is post kidney disease and your transplant. And so really this gives hope to people that once you've had your diagnosis, this isn't the end. Life can continue. There is hope. You can achieve so much. And you, after being through everything that you have been through, is testament to that. So tell me about becoming a counsellor and how that has been part of your journey of kidney health advocacy and helping others.
Thank you. That's a very good question. So now I did say earlier that after my transplant, I got a call from the NHS Blood and Transplant. I started working with NHS Blood and Transplant and I became an ambassador for organ donation. So 8 weeks after my transplant, I was in Parliament talking to ministers. And I saw the reaction to what I said. And I remember the Minister for Health then saying that, Jackie then, and she's saying if they had 10 of me, that their job would already be done. And that actually impacted me because I thought, what better way to give back? What better way to be able to talk to power and change their minds? And I started thinking, how do I get into politics? Because I want to change things. Because I saw the way people were listening with rapt attention. And I felt that this was a way to make them, because kidney disease was not a subject. Organ donation was not yet a subject. It wasn't a topic people talk about. So I decided to join a party and I joined the Labour Party. I was going to meetings. So fortunately, or by chance, that was when the first national conference was being held in Brighton. And I asked to go. So I was selected from my local CLP, that's Constituency Labour Party. I was chosen to go to national conference. So go to national conference and the conference was going on, but where we were sat was very dark. And they weren't, singing us. They weren't calling us. And me being Hilaria, I got up and marched to the front and I asked to get on the podium and I said, listen, we from Salford are at the back in that corner. You need to call us to come and speak. And the chair looked at me and I don't know what I was thinking. And I went back to my seat. And the next time that the questions were going up for people to come and say something, put my hand up and asked to be called. And he picked me out of everybody to come to the podium. Oh my God, my legs were shaking. And I went up and I shared my story on the podium. And I talked about the hospital where my life was saved. And I spoke about health inequalities that we face in the Black community. And in fact, the whole hall was quiet when I finished. And I walked off. And I could feel the atmosphere in that hall that day. And that is where I started believing that I can make a difference. I can make people stop and listen. My story is powerful. I can do that. So I became a little bit more active in my party. And that was where it blossomed from. Then I think the next 2 years or so, I went to other conferences and I even was on a panel discussing and all of that. And I think the party saw that I was somebody because I had a voice. I wasn't scared to speak to power. So they felt that I was somebody that they could put forward as a counsellor because I was very active, out campaigning and all of that. And they asked me to stand. And I did. When I did, I won so great that the next person was like 500 votes below me. So I just felt, this is a sign that this is where I should be. But I'm not going to give up my first passion, which is being an ambassador for organ donation. And I continue to work with NHS Blood and Transplant. And, in that time, being a counsellor, I've been able to help a lot of people because I have access to officers from the council. So I can point them in the right direction. I can point people to the right officers to help them. And I was taking services through the community as well. And as we all know, it's very hard for the Black community to engage with the system. So I was making that happen, facilitating connections between the council and the community and getting officers involved and also speaking on people's behalf, not just the Black community, but underrepresented white communities, because that is also another group that I easily forgotten. And, it's given me so much joy that in the 2 years that I have been a counsellor, I've been able to do a lot more than I thought I would. And that hasn't stopped me as well. I've gone on to do other things, doing research with different organizations, health organizations, the NIHR. I am with some of the doctors doing research at the local hospital. So I'm on different committees. And believe me, I feel in my own small way, I'm doing some good. And I want to encourage other people who are thinking their lives are over because, they've been diagnosed with kidney disease. I also support patients who've just been newly diagnosed and try to help them to come to terms with that diagnosis and tell them that, look at me. When I tell them I'm a kidney patient, they can't believe it. But when you have that belief that what you're doing is right, it helps. You can be a councillor, you can be an MP, you can be a director of a company. If you can't do the work well because employers might not understand the ravages of kidney disease, you can volunteer. Volunteer because most of the roles I do are voluntary. They are not paid. I do it because I want to give back. I do it because I also want to encourage other kidney patients and other people who are ill and have long-term health conditions that you can do it. When you're tired, find the time to sleep. And that is what I do. So when I come out, I'm refreshed. You can do it. And I believe in you. If you're listening right now, I believe in you. I know that you can do it. Kidney disease or whatever disease cannot stop you being who you were destined to be. So get out of that bed, get that thought out of your head, and be who God has said you would be. Thank you, Dee.
Very powerful word there. So today, you've shared your Kidney Warrior story. You have overcome so many different health challenges. And through it all, you have continued to hold on to hope. Yes. You've continued to fight on and you've continued to advocate for others.
Yes.
What is your final word of encouragement for the listeners?
My final word is your family are important. I know a lot of people have issues with their families. But I tell you, my family stood by me 24/7, whether from my husband's side or from my side. Family would always stand by you. Talk to them. Even when you sign up, talk to them. Tell them I've signed up so that they do not veto your decision. Because the doctors need that. I've seen situations where families say no, and the number of people who are disappointed, one person can save up to 9 lives. So if you're thinking that, oh, I'm alone, you'll be surprised that when you tell your family that you've been diagnosed with kidney disease, whoever is quarreling with you will come back. Because it is a shocker to the system, especially us within the Black community. We will rally around that person. So please, don't give up hope. Reach out to family. Reach out. If you don't have family in England, reach out to friends around you. Reach out to neighbors. And most especially, if you need that support, reach out to me. I'm very happy to speak to you because it is not an easy journey as a kidney patient. But when you have somebody who is there to listen and understand from your point of view, it makes a huge difference. And if you're somebody thinking you want to opt out, consider those people waiting on the transplant list, waiting for that call, waiting for that voice to say, we found a kidney for you. That is the best news anyone can ever receive. So be kind, and be kind to yourself as well, because there's nothing better than you thinking positively and being kind to yourself. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for sharing your story. You are an incredible, incredible woman. Everything that you have been through, and yet you sit here with a smile on your face, advocating for others, encouraging others, willing to help others. You really are a walking miracle and an example to me personally as a kidney patient, but also to so many people around the country. Thank you so much for your honesty, just allowing yourself to be completely open and vulnerable. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dee, for having me. It's really been great to talk to you about my journey. And I hope that it touches anybody who listens to it, because it is real. I really opened myself up so that people can understand how it feels. So I do hope that this conversation would help somebody who is not sure right now.
Thank you for listening to Diary of a Kidney Warrior podcast. I truly appreciate your support. New episodes of this podcast are released every other Monday, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And if you found this episode helpful, why not share it with someone who might benefit too? To stay up to date with the latest episodes, news and resources, sign up for the email mailing list and join the WhatsApp channel. All the details are in the episode description. Until next time, take care and choose to live.